Welcome to Module 7.10, Promoting Integrity in Research Design. In this session, we'll explore how research integrity must be embedded from the earliest stages of the research process. Ethical considerations and integrity practices should not be afterthoughts, but foundational elements of how we design studies. We'll examine integrity considerations in research question development, methodology selection, and analysis planning. Understanding these practices helps researchers create more rigorous, transparent, and trustworthy studies that stand up to scrutiny and contribute meaningfully to knowledge. Integrity begins with how research questions are selected and developed. Question selection transparency means openly acknowledging why certain questions are pursued over others, including funding priorities or researcher interests. Stakeholder involvement ensures that research questions reflect priorities of those who will be affected by or use the findings, not just academic curiosity. Avoiding confirmation bias requires formulating questions that can genuinely test hypotheses rather than simply seeking evidence for pre-existing beliefs. Research question registration in publicly accessible platforms documents the initial research focus, preventing unacknowledged shifts that can undermine validity. Protocol development rigor involves thorough consideration of methodological options, potential limitations, and ethical implications before finalizing a research plan. Together, these practices ensure that research questions are formulated with integrity, increasing the likelihood that the resulting knowledge will be both valid and valuable. Methodological choices directly impact research validity and trustworthiness. Design appropriateness for the question means selecting methods that can actually answer what's being asked, avoiding mismatch between questions and approaches. Sample size justification involves conducting proper power analyses to ensure studies are neither wastefully large nor insufficiently powered to detect meaningful effects. Controls for bias incorporate strategies to minimize influences that could systematically distort findings, from selection bias to experimenter effects. Protocol transparency means documenting methodological decisions in sufficient detail that others could replicate the approach. Pre-registration of methods commits researchers to specific procedures before data collection begins, preventing questionable flexibility in how studies are conducted. These integrity practices ensure that research methods are rigorous and appropriate, producing findings that can be trusted rather than artifacts of flawed methodology. Analysis decisions significantly impact research findings and should be planned with integrity. Pre-specified analysis plans document intended statistical approaches before examining data, preventing researchers from selecting analyses based on which produce desired results. Statistical methods justification involves choosing appropriate tests based on data characteristics and research questions rather than familiarity or convenience. Handling missing data requires transparent strategies established in advance, avoiding post hoc decisions that could bias findings. Subgroup analysis planning specifies which population segments will be examined separately and why, preventing fishing expeditions that generate spurious findings. Multiple testing adjustments account for increased false positive risk when conducting numerous analyses, ensuring reported significance reflects genuine effects rather than statistical artifacts. Together, these practices ensure that analysis approaches are determined by methodological considerations rather than result preferences, significantly increasing the trustworthiness of research findings.